Hello and welcome to That Nerd Thing, where we uncover the magical impact that fandoms have on our lives. I'm Morgan, and you might remember a few weeks ago I spoke with Illy from the Spine Benders Society, one of my favorite book clubs. If you remember, she ended up moving, and so we had a couple of people take over the book club chapter down here in South Florida, and I am so excited to speak with one of the, are you guys like the leaders, the admins?
I guess both. I think we refer to ourselves as both, so leader, admin, either way.
One of the lovely leaders of the Spine Bender Society, Suzanne. So hi, Suzanne. I'm so happy you're on the show.
Hi. Yeah, happy to be here.
Book clubs are so amazing, like the people that you get to meet, and you've done such a great job taking over, by the way. It's been phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really know what it would entail in terms of, taking everything over, especially, I kind of knew like the ins and outs of the app, but as far as like, I think the toughest thing is like the restaurant for booking the meetings and stuff. I really didn't know how much work it would be to like reach out to these places and, figure out what we need and what they're available for and the septic checks and the parking and everything.
It's a lot. I remember when Illy, said she was leaving and, she was hoping people would take over. I had to really fight that inner nature in me of like wanting to like yes, this will be fun, let's do it, because I know how much work it is. I was like, Morgan, do not volunteer. You cannot do it. You cannot take it on.
Yeah, I know. I am definitely that kind of person that I'm like, I'll do it. Yeah, sounds good. I definitely like to jump in and like figure stuff out if I feel like I can. So.
You've definitely been doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, definitely helps. Like when I knew that I was going to do it, I talked to Caroline and I talked to Haley, because I think they were the people that I was, felt closest with in the book club, that I was like, all right, I'm definitely going to need some help. Haley is like #1 book connoisseur. I mean, she's read like almost every book, or at least heard of it. So I knew she would be great. And Caroline too, like she's very much more in like the realm of dark thrillers than I am, and she like listens to a lot of book talk and everything, and I'm like not as up to speed on that stuff. So yeah, it's been really great working with them to figure everything out. And with the we like to do like the decorations and stuff too. Like I love a theme. That's definitely my big thing is I like to have things come together and represent the theme of whatever book we're reading. So Haley has helped a lot with that too.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. You all have done a really great job, and I think are continuing to make the book club really special.
Thank you.
Are you ready to jump into your nerdy identity?
Let's do it.
What is the first thing that you were nerdy about?
I would say fairies and unicorns. When I was really little, like probably around 6, I started going and like staying with my aunt on the weekends, and my aunt has always been super into anything fantasy. Around her house, she always had like different fairies hanging in little nooks. She had, like a little wizard on her nightstand that at night we would like rub the crystal ball and make a wish on before we went to sleep.
I love that.
Yeah, and I think the only movies we watched over there were like The Last Unicorn, Princess Bride, stuff like that, Legend. So I definitely was influenced by her. She would go to like different stores in the area and try to find different fairies to like go around her house, or whenever we saw one, we would go like look for them together, or if I saw one without her, I would get her one for like whatever holiday it was. So that definitely got me started down the path of just like loving fantasy stuff.
Yeah, it sounds very magical.
Yeah, definitely. I would go like outside and like try to find fairies in my yard. I was pretty convinced that I could find them, and it's still in the back of my mind that they might be there.
Oh, I love that. And so are those like the types of books that you like to read the most now?
I would say so. I definitely like the fairy theme, the fae aspect of a book. I think whenever I read that in the, little summary on the back or something, I'm always like, perks my interest. I did go through a big phase like after high school where I read Twilight for the first time, and then was in like a vampire phase. I definitely go hard like into whatever I'm into. Like I like Twilight. I watched the movies. I went to Hot Topic and got like a Bella jacket. I like wanted to be Bella. I would listen to the soundtrack and like pretend I was a vampire. And then I was super into like different vampire books and stuff too. So I think it's evolved over the years, but I think I've come full circle back to like fairies are at my core of what I like.
Yeah. Speaking of Twilight and the soundtrack, I think the soundtrack for the first Twilight movie is just flawless. It's one of the best movie soundtracks I've ever heard. Yeah, it is so good. I still listen to it.
Me too. Yeah, Eyes on Fire song is like one of my favorite ones. That was my vampire song. Like I would blast that in my car and I would practice my vampire look and like give it to the car next to me and pretend that I was a real vampire and try to make them think it too.
Twilight definitely knew how to bring out the angst in people.
Oh yeah.
What is your favorite nerdy thing?
I think my favorite, like the thing that I got really into in the past few years, I guess since I was younger too, was Sabrina. I really loved like Sabrina the Teenage Witch growing up. And then I watched like all the seasons when I was in college as like a comfort thing. Yeah, I watched every episode. It was like I would have to watch it at least one episode a night. And it brought me like a lot of peace and like a time of kind of turmoil for me. And then when the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina came out on Netflix, I got like really into that. I mean, I've watched those seasons multiple times. I love Kiernan Shipka. I have a Sabrina sweater that's like my favorite sweater of all time. Oh, I have like one of those little pop figures that's Sabrina.
That's a good show.
I really liked it. I was so sad when they didn't continue it and the way they ended it. I was like, there is hope that it could come back.
I haven't seen the last season because I know that they ended it. And does it have an ending or is it like, oh man, they should have continued it?
It has an ending, but it's a little ambiguous in the sense of like, there is a room for it to like potentially continue, which honestly gave me hope. But I don't think they will. I was hoping like after Netflix, like maybe HBO would pick it up or something, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case.
I really loved how dark that show got because I didn't expect it. It's like, this is not the Sabrina you grew up with.
No, not at all. I have one of the comics of like the first edition of the Sabrina that I got on eBay or something that I really love.
Oh, wow. I also thought it was fascinating how that kind of took place in the Riverdale universe.
Yeah, I don't watch Riverdale as a show. I think I watched a little bit of it, but I never really got like super into it. But I did watch the one crossover episode because I was like, I need more Sabrina. If I can like get just a little bit, I will. So yeah, I did watch that.
What are you currently nerdy about?
My current obsession is world history.
Oh, okay.
I honestly don't know how these things start with me. It's just like something piques my interest and then I want to learn more about it. I feel like I learned world history like at a very young age and then never really had a good knowledge like expand on it. I know in college I took a course with a good teacher, but the class was like so fast paced. It was hard to like really retain all the information. I think maybe I was like watching something. Oh, I watched a documentary about like the timeline of Earth, like the dinosaurs and evolution and stuff, and the way our planet has changed over the past like billions of years. And so from there, I wanted to learn more about the people that first existed. So I watched like multiple documentaries on like Neanderthals and the first peoples like Homo erectus, Homo sapien, the evolution of Homo sapien. And then I just like wanted to go further. So I take my son to Barnes and Noble pretty often. And they have like he likes the books, but there is a section where they have like a tower of toys. And it happens to be by their like nonfiction kids books. And so a lot of them are those like eyewitness certain areas. So it'll be like I got Eyewitness Mesopotamia. And it's like the book and it has a lot of like pictures of the relics and artifacts and stuff that are found with little blurbs of like what those things are and little information about the people of that time and what their procedures were, like how they lived, how they survived. And so I'll browse through those while he plays with toys at Barnes and Noble. And then I had a free day last week where we had a babysitter. So I went to the library and I just like went crazy on it. I got like this complete guide to like middle school world history. So just like a very broad intro of, like an overview.
Cool.
And I've been reading that. And then I got all the eyewitness books to go with the ancient civilizations. So I guess that's like where my current history nerdy obsession is the ancient civilizations in world history.
That's amazing. And I love it. It's like what you said, when you're interested in something, you go all in.
Yeah. Almost like too much to an extreme that like I want to know like every detail of those things. Like, you know, the minimal information is not enough.
I love that though. That's part of being a nerd.
Totally.
What is the most underrated nerdy thing about you?
I would say, like I mentioned, I love themes. I think like I love to dress up. I always have loved to dress up. Like my friends and I had dress up boxes when we were little, and that was my favorite thing to do, was to just put on a costume. And then as I've gotten older, it's been, you know, any themed party. I love the Renaissance Festival. I want to have like a themed costume party for like my birthday. I want, you know, anything like that. If I can take a theme to an extreme, I will definitely do it.
I love that. But I think that's also what I loved, like with the book club, like you went all out. I was surprised, like you had the pink wig and like the decorations. And I think that's so fun, is making things immersive for people.
Yeah, I remember when we first met at Laura's book club, and it was like 6 of us, you know, we went to that tea house, and I wore like my full like Wednesday Addams type dress with my hat.
I loved it.
And I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I don't know any of these people at all, but like, if she says to dress up and we're going to this tea place, like, why not, you know? So I think that's like in my core, I love a theme.
Yeah, it's fun because why not? Why not like go all out and have fun and dress up? I think that's great.
Yeah. If I could get into, I watched a cosplay show years ago and I was like, I would love to do that, but it's just not my forte to like build those types of things, you know? Like, I don't know how they're able to figure out some of the things they'll build that like have mechanisms that like make things actually move, or, you know, they build things from nothing. It's just not my thing, but I wish it was. If I had more time, I know. Maybe it could be.
I know. Cosplay is super cool, and the things that people wear. I went to Florida SuperCon a few weeks ago, and I would love to do it, but I also know it's very exhausting walking around these conventions, and it gets hot, and I can't imagine how people do that all day.
I know. It's like, even me, like on Halloween, I mean, I will suffer through it. If I want to wear a costume and it's like 80 degrees, I will still, like, I was Sabrina for the year that I was like peak obsessed with Sabrina, and she has like the long sleeve red velvet dress and stockings and like the white wig. So cool. I mean, it was brutal. I think it was like 90 degrees out, and I wore that, and we were outside like the whole time. But you got to do it for the theme. I'm
like getting, just this episode so far is feeling very like Halloween-y to me, and I love Halloween so much.
Me too.
So, what do you love about it?
Everything. I mean, if I could start decorating like right now, I would. I used to love going to like Halloween horror nights. My wife and I have gone quite a few times together, and it's super fun. But as I've gotten older, I'm not as into like the strobe lights and like actually being scared. But I just love like the witchiness, the decorations. I feel like it is the best holiday to go all out with a theme. It's like, that's, what else are you going to do? Throw a Halloween party, decorate your entire house, even more so than Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
I love the movies. I just love the feel. They're so cozy, you know, to me, Halloween is super cozy.
I say, like, Halloween, it's the most magical time of the year. I love it.
It really is.
Do you have any fun Halloween book club plans that you're thinking about?
Well, so I was thinking, because our meeting for our September book is October 3rd. Right. And our meeting for our October book is November. So I've been debating, like, should we read our Halloween book in September since we meet in October? Or so that's like where I stand with that. But I would personally love to host a Halloween meeting at my house so that I could really decorate. I just have to see how that'll go over with like my wife and the fact that my son will be here sleeping. So we'll have to see.
I have like real life things to consider.
Yeah, but I would love to.
What is the most random nerdy thing about you?
I love to sing. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Really?
Yeah, I did musical theater from when I was like 8 until 18. And it really brought me out of my shell in terms of being nerdy, being myself, being able to express myself, and finding like my kind of people, you know, who like to be silly or be creative and don't really care what other people think in terms of their self-expression. And singing for me has always been like super cathartic. If I'm like feeling anxious, I'll put on a song. My go-to song that I like to sing is The Wizard and I from Wicked.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. So I'll sometimes put it on in the car or like in the shower, or if I'm like feeling really overwhelmed, I'll put it on and just like give it my all, like sing it out as much as I can. And it really helps me. So I'm always singing, even like when I have my son in the car and we're listening to Blippi on repeat, I can't help it. I find myself singing even when I don't really like the music.
Speaking of Wicked, are you looking forward to the movie?
Yeah, I think that'll be awesome. I saw Wicked on Broadway. It was like, I want to say the month after the original cast left, which like made me sad. But yeah, I went to New York for my 16th birthday and we got tickets and saw it. And I've only been to like, I want to say 3 Broadway shows, and that was one of them. And I mean, it was amazing. I definitely would love to see what they do in terms of a movie.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is, like, I liked musical theater. I liked to be in musicals. I like Wicked for what it is and like the nostalgia it brings me, but I don't really like musicals as movies. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, people are always like, oh my God, did you see? Because I think I give off the vibe that I would, but I'm always like, no, I don't watch musicals.
So what other Broadway performances have you seen or been in?
I saw Fiddler on the Roof around the same time, and that was cool because like the stage moved in that one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I honestly haven't been to New York to like see a show in quite some time. This was like all mostly in high school when I was more, into it. For school, each year we would do like competition theater. So every year we would put on like a 1-act play and bring it to competition and compete with that, and at like the district level and then at the state level.
Cool. So in terms of like your nerdiness, are there any fandoms that you're really involved in?
I mean, classically Harry Potter. I don't think that's like ever left me. I love that. I want to say my biggest obsession, and this was some time ago, I feel like when I had more time, I really loved Wizards of Waverly Place, the show on Disney Channel. And I mean, this was like when Selena Gomez wasn't as like famous as she is now. She was mostly like just on Disney Channel, and she would do these Q&As on YouTube where like she like this, like you would see her on a camera and she would answer a question, like you could type in a question and she would answer it. And so I would do those forums with her. I would like go to Target and get clothes and like match my outfit to her outfits in Wizards of Waverly Place. And then Twilight came shortly after that. So just feel like I haven't had as much time in like recent years to be as involved in different fandoms as I could be.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult as an adult to find time to do all of that, especially when we see so many books, so many movies, so many TV shows. Like there's so many things that we could get involved in. It's very overwhelming.
Yeah. And with shows and stuff, I feel like when we were younger, things were on for so much longer. You only had a certain option, so you would like rewatch things. Whereas now it's like you get super into something for a couple months when like it's on Netflix, and then the next thing comes and you're kind of, onto that. So
yeah. Are there any TV shows that you're into right now?
Other than the documentaries I've been watching about the origins of mankind, not really. My son and I have I had him, because a lot of the time we'll watch like Daniel Tiger or something, and I was like, I want to watch something for me one day, so I put on this thing about like exploring ancient Egyptian tombs, and I was watching that and I was like, Henry, do you want to watch this with me? And I mean, he's only 3, but he liked it. He was like pretending he was doing the pickaxe that they were doing, and I was showing him the old statues, and he was like, they're so old, they're so cool. And I was like, they are very cool. And so I think even at 3, there are things you can learn from things like that, like teaching him about the desert and like what the pyramids are, and just what they're doing and how they're finding treasure in the ground type of thing, just introducing him to topics. I love trying to do that.
So what has it been like for you to join a book club and go on this whole book club journey? Because I'm like a huge advocate for people joining book clubs. I think they're life changing.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely joined our initial book club, the one that Laura started, because I was having like a really tough time. I had COVID that year and had like a lot of health repercussions after that, and had, due to COVID, had some like falling outs with really close friends of mine. I was feeling like super lonely, and especially as a new mom, like I just wanted something for me that I felt would bring me, you know, a sense of community, more people to go see, just a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. And so I found that book club, and it really allowed me to, like, not only reading the books per month really helped me like make time for myself, because you have to finish the book, you know, like, or you don't have to, but like I, as a perfectionist, like to. And so I would have to like carve out time for myself to be able to sit down and read the books. And that really gave me like more of my sense of self. And then, you know, going to the meetings was also like, no, I have to go. I have this to do per day, rather than like feeling like my life revolved around this tiny person I'm taking care of all the time. It was really like, this is time for myself. And then when Illy started her book club, I mean, that was really great, because it was a little more like at night is a little easier for me than like on a Sunday or on a weekend day. I was able to like connect with the people there really well and kind of go out of my comfort zone in terms of driving to new places and, you know, by myself, and meeting new people and reading books that I wouldn't necessarily have been into otherwise. And then in terms of taking it over, it's definitely given me more of a sense of purpose. So I feel like the whole book club journey has just been kind of an evolution into finding more purpose for myself and finding things that matter to me as a person, not me as a mom.
That's beautiful. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What tips or advice would you have for somebody who's maybe nervous about going to their first book club meeting? Because like I'm an introvert, and I remember I was like, I'm nervous, but it just immediately, it was like everybody was the same way and very understanding. It exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I'm definitely like that too. Like, I am normally someone who, if you ask me to go do something, my initial response is no. And then I'm like, okay, I'll go. And then I end up having a great time. So what I try to tell myself as an introvert anytime I feel nervous to go do something is like, it's only like a couple of hours. You know, you could leave early if you really need to. And, you know, anybody can do anything for just a couple of hours. And you don't have to go back if you feel like, you know, you're uncomfortable, but at least try. I think that's my biggest thing is like, give it a shot. If it's not for you, fine. But I think you can really find a sense of community. Like I said, I had a falling out with one of my like really good friends after COVID. I really wanted to like fill that void in having, you know, close friendships. And so I know when I met Haley was actually when I hosted the book club at my house, and I felt like connected to her, but then I didn't see her for like a few months. And then we hung out again, I think at the Spine Benders book club. And ever since then, we've really like started a close friendship. She comes over, we hang out, we do puzzles. She and my wife are also close. Like we all hang out together. She came to my son's birthday party with her sons. We just have found like a friendship. And I feel like looking back a year ago, it is something that like in my heart, I really hoped for when I joined a book club. And, you know, I think it just shows that if you put yourself out there, the things that you really wish for can happen.
That's amazing. But I think that's a good point. Like you put yourself out there. You put in the effort. You didn't just sort of expect it to happen. You took a risk.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, the whole point. Because I really like had a tough year in 2023. Like it was probably one of the hardest like times I've had in my adult life. And so anytime someone talks to me about like they're struggling or they're feeling like, you know, lost or whatever, I'm like, just try your best to do things for you. Anything. I joined like a soccer league. I've never really played soccer in my life, but I was like, I'm going to give it a shot. Something different, something to like get my energy out.
Wow.
I was having a lot of anxiety. I was like, maybe
Yeah.
this sport will help. You know, my son loves to kick a ball. So I thought, well, I'll learn soccer. And like, at least if he wants to do that in the future, I'll be able to help him. Just try anything you feel that might help, give it a shot. I do watercolor painting. I do puzzles. I try to just find different little things that can help me if I'm feeling down. And I think that's the biggest thing is if you're struggling, try to get a hobby. Get something
I
that
agree, for sure.
gives you purpose.
Awesome. Is there anything else maybe about your journey into nerdiness or fandoms or book clubs that you would want to share?
I think to the same point, as an adult, it's harder to find like your tribe of people. You know, we're all busy. We all have very separate lives. It's hard to make time. But I know that as a child, I was different than a lot of other kids. I felt like I didn't fit in. And I had a really good like core group of friends in my neighborhood growing up outside of school. They were just, you know, like my everyday friends. And they really accepted me for who I was and made me feel like my quirks were just, you know, part of me and fun and what made me very unique. So I think, you know, with book club, with anything that you join, like it could have been soccer for me. It could have been a kickball league. It could have been a knitting club, you know, anything. I think if you feel drawn to that, that can really help you find your sense of community and help you feel more comfortable in your own skin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
It can make a lot of difference for your self-esteem, especially if you're struggling in any way or if you just, you know, feel like you need support.
So what are your hopes for the book club moving forward?
I mean, I have friends who have seen what I've posted or, you know, I'll share to my personal account, like the reels that I make and stuff.
Which are so good, by the way. I'm like, these are incredible. I'm like, can you do my social media?
I really like to do like video editing. I used to make like home videos when I was little. I was super into stuff like that. So I have friends who see that and they're like, you've inspired me to join a book club, or I want to, you know, I'm going to move to this area and I want to start a book club there. How do I get started? So I know Ailey has talked about wanting to like grow the Spine Benders. And so I've mentioned to them, I'm like, I mean, if you really want to, like I could help you build it out. And then you just have to, you know, do it after that. Like I'll help you do it on the app and help you with the ropes along the way. But I think it would be really awesome if we could just try to, you know, I think fantasy really, and fantasy might be for some people like criminal type of like true detective type books, or fantasy can be like true fantasy, like dragons and witches and, you know, magic and things, or sci-fi or anything like that can be, even historical fiction can be a really good escape. And so if you're at all wanting to kind of like get outside of your normal day-to-day life and you're wanting a book club, I think the themes that we bring to Spine Benders are really good for, you know, that just little daily escape when you read. And so I hope that, you know, if people want to start a book club, like I think starting with these themes, you know, that we offer, the thriller, the fantasy, the romance type novel, can really help you like with community, with bringing people together and discussing that type of stuff, but also to help you just kind of embrace that side of you that wants to like get out of your head a little bit. So I hope that, you know, if people don't find a book club that they want to join, that we can help them create something that can allow them to, you know, find the sense of community that we've found.
I love that, and embrace who they are.
Yeah.
What does being a nerd mean to you?
I think, like I said, it's just embracing all of the quirks of yourself, you know, giving over to that side of you that doesn't mind being a little out there or, you know, taking things to any extreme. I feel like that's really what being a nerd is. It's like you're not afraid to go to those extremes with either whatever it is that you're into or that you like, and that you don't really care, you know, what the average person might think of you for doing so.
So true. Embrace who you are, be nerdy, immerse yourselves, and just like really like have fun.
Yeah.
So in terms of geeky recommendations, I've been doing this thing lately where I just kind of wing it to see what comes up for me, unless I have like something I definitely want to recommend. And I think based off our discussion, I really want to recommend to people to find a hobby, like any hobby, no matter what it is. Like find a hobby where you can embrace who you are and have fun.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, find another one.
Yeah.
But I think putting yourself out there is so important and can be really life-changing.
Yeah, and I think it can be something, it doesn't have to necessarily, if you're not looking for a sense of community, it can just be something that you do for yourself. Like I mentioned, I like to do watercolor paintings. I mean, just sitting there doing something relaxing that doesn't have anything to do with any screen and where my mind can just kind of wander. And then at the end that I've created something, however good or bad it may be, like you feel fulfilled at the end of that. So I think, finding a hobby that allows you to feel fulfilled and proud of yourself and in any way can be really great.
So Suzanne, where can people find you and find your book club?
We are on Instagram at Spine Benders _SFL. So we're the South Florida chapter, so you'll find us there. You can find us on bookclubs.com. You can find on our Instagram, there is a link on there if you want to join. And my personal account is Suzanne Rotman. That's my name. So that's who I am. That's where you can find us.
Yeah. And I'll share all of the links to that in the show notes. So everybody, go check that out. Even if you're not going to join the book club, I definitely recommend following the book club on Instagram because it's so fun and you could see the reels and it might inspire you or motivate you. I know it does for me. Every time I see them, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is so good.
Yeah, I think so too. I tell people that, aren't even in my area. I'm like, well, just follow the book club. You can always get book recommendations at the very least. So
yeah, I agree. I'm getting so many recommendations for books. I love it. My list is growing way too long. I probably will never be able to read all these books. Same. But it's so fun though. And I'm reading books that I never would have heard of before. And I'm loving them.
Yeah. When I created the Instagram account, I was like, give me all of your Bookstagram accounts. I'm going to add all of these. And so now it's really fun when I go on there because it is seriously all book recommendations, all book lovers, all libraries, everything to do with books. And so it's a very fun curated account to go on and just explore what I love, which is reading.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much for being on the show today. It was so much fun and I loved hearing all the things you were nerdy about that I never knew. That's so cool.
No, it was great to talk to you. I'm happy too. I'm happy we could do this. Thank you.
Maybe we need to have a karaoke book club meeting or
that would be
or
fun.
Something.
That would be fun. I feel like that would be maybe after regular book club when everyone has had a couple drinks and then they can go to karaoke.
Oh, I would love that. I always say in another life, I would have loved to be a Broadway performer, but I don't have the skills to do it.
I don't think my skill level is that high up there either, which is why I didn't pursue it. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, there is still time.
Always. Well, thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you all so much for listening, and please be sure that you are following That Nerd Thing in your favorite podcast app so that you never miss an episode. And if you can, please leave That Nerd Thing a 5-star review in Apple Podcast or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Is it follow? I'm not sure. Whichever one it is on YouTube, and like this video. You can comment on the video. You could comment on my socials at That Nerd Thing Pod, and you can email me at thatnerdthingpod@gmail.com. And yeah, I guess I'm stumbling today. Well, that's a wrap for the episode today, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.